I said after the election that we were going to see more and more of these cases. I didn't know it would happen this soon. But there's an element of people who voted for Donald Trump or supported Donald Trump or whose organization was in a position to endorse either candidate and then didn't. And now they're finding out. It is the f*** around and find out. That's what's happening right now. And firefighters and different public service job, people in that sector are really finding out. I don't know what it is about firefighters. I certainly know what it is about cops who want to support somebody like Donald Trump because he wants to give them total immunity for gunning down innocent, unarmed citizens. But firefighters, that's real public service. They're not granted power to harm citizens. They don't carry weapons. They don't feel like they're authority figures to run roughshod over constitutional rights. They are first responders. They oftentimes show themselves to be heroes. Rarely, that's the case with cops, in my view. But firefighters are different. So it bothers me and it makes me quizzical, to say the least, as to why they would withhold their endorsement as a union, as a group, as a collective from Kamala Harris, refusing to endorse this election. They endorsed Joe Biden in 2020, but why not Kamala Harris? Curious, you would think they would be smart enough, intellectual enough to noodle through what the outcome would be of supporting Donald Trump and a party that doesn't want to fund anything other than tax cuts for the super wealthy. Here's a headline from October 3rd from the New York Times. Firefighters Union declines to endorse a presidential candidate. The International Association of Firefighters was one of the first unions to endorse Joe Biden in 2020. In 2024, its board voted not to endorse at all. They took the tack of the Washington Post and the LA Times. We're just not going to make an endorsement, which is a tacit endorsement, is what it is. Smash cut to December 21st, New York Post. Fire unions livid as funding for 9/11 health fund excluded from federal budget. Funds in jeopardy. Here's another one. Day after. New York One, the Spectrum channel there. FDNY members frustrated after health funding left out of spending bill. Here's from the Seattle Times, same day. Seattle Times. New York City firefighter union blasts House decision to strip funding from 9/11 healthcare program. I'll read a little. Here's a couple paragraphs. The city's firefighters union slammed Sunday a decision by lawmakers 2 days earlier to strip vital healthcare funds for 9/11 first responders from the federal budget after Elon Musk and Donald Trump nuked a stopgap spending plan threatening a government shutdown. Quote, the one thing we were able to fall back on was people wouldn't forget and they would always stand beside us, said James Brosey, the president of the Uniformed Fire Officers Association. Quote, unfortunately, 20-some odd years later, people are starting to forget. It is unimaginable that we would have to come down here and ask Congress to do the right thing. Is it unimaginable? What's your name? James Brosey? Is it unimaginable? Or was it perfectly imaginable? Was it absolutely written on the wall that this would be the outcome? When you support or deny your support an important endorsement from the candidate who absolutely would support programs like this, this is the outcome, brother. Why would you be surprised? It's either because you're feigning surprise or because you're stupid. It seems those are the only two choices, because this was absolutely predictable. This is the party who loves to shut down the government. This is the party who likes to withhold funding for critical programs, including health funding for first responders who served valiantly and selflessly, giving of their lives in the ultimate sacrifice for the country on 9/11 and the days that followed with health problems. But it's always Republicans who want to curtail that spending. Always Republicans who want to curtail that spending. It's always Republicans. So why be surprised? Oh, it's just shocking we would have to go down there. And if you're saying, well, how do you know that they're supporting of Republicans? This particular, the guy who's the president of the Uniformed Fire Officers Association. Well, here's a Facebook post. There's several of them where they're glad. This same guy is glad handing with Mike Johnson. They campaign. They love Mike Lawler, the Republican who wants to be the governor. He's in Congress now, but he desperately wants to be the governor of the state of New York. They're caping for him. They're there for him. This is their Facebook post promoting the appointment to a position of a guy who was a cop in New York City, who has a jacket of abuse and bad behavior as long as my arm. This is from Facebook. The Uniformed Fire Officers Association strongly supports and asks President-elect Donald Trump to consider Congressman Anthony D'Esposito to serve as his DEA administrator. Congressman D'Esposito is a former NYPD detective and is someone who has dedicated himself to public safety every step of his career. He will commit to improving the safety of all Americans. In unity, there is strength. And then they tag Donald Trump as they rush to D.C. to glad hand with Mike Johnson and Mike Lawler, trying to get this goof appointed to a position of high authority, someone who has already abused his authority while a police department, whether that be police brutality allegations, whether that be all kinds of criminal accusations against him, credible criminal allegations, and then he ran to Congress, got elected, and, So, look, it's another case of FAFO, of what did you think was going to happen. We've seen it with immigrant people who are naturalized citizens voting for Donald Trump, who are like, well, no, he's only going to deport the bad ones, and then we're going to watch and see their lives get completely turned upside down when their family is kicked out of the country. I've covered the case of the guy in Georgia, in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, where his father-in-law voted for Donald Trump, knowing full well of the mass deportation, but said, no. You're not one of the rapists or the killers. You're not one of the criminals. You're one of the good ones. You're going to be allowed to stay. And ultimately, he is going to have cast a vote for the deportation of his son-in-law. Again, I would love your participation in this conversation. What do you think? Comment below. You can also leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Look, let me finish up by saying this about this particular case. These programs need to be funded. People who do their jobs selflessly, people who sacrifice, now, even if they don't, people need to be taken care of. And no fault of their own, 9/11 happened, and they answered the call. We should be funding their health care, just like we should be funding the health care of veterans who served their countries, just like we should be funding the people who didn't serve in the military and weren't firefighters. People should not go broke with medical bills. We, as a society, as a collective, should chip in and pay for people's care. We're the only industrialized nation where that doesn't take place. We're the only one. The only one. We're the richest nation on the planet, and we also have the greediest billionaires who want to hold on to every last red cent, not paying what they owe in taxes. This should be funded. I'm not making light of the fact that, look at you, you're not going to get your funding. It's make better decisions. That's the point. Anyway. After you've called, if you want to help support the work, you can click the join button below, become a channel member for $2 a month, or you can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. There's always Dollemore.com. Get yourself a mug or a t-shirt or a die-cut sticker. Brittany Page and I have been feverishly stuffing envelopes. So if you buy one of these, my grubby little hands will mail it out. Anyway, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope you have a happy Wednesday. If you don't, I'll see you next time. I'm going to be back. I'll be gone Christmas. I'll be gone the day after, and I'll be back the day after that. I love and appreciate you very much. Happy holidays. Be genuine. Take care of one another.